It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to our podcast, Musical Lyrical Lingo. We're your hosts, Tim
and LJ. Today and every week we'll be talking musicals and specifically what they taught us. But Timothy, before we get into this week's musical, I would just like to say thank you to all of our listeners and our supporters. It's been fab, hasn't it?
I can't quite believe it, to be honest with you. I've been blown away with how many downloads we've had and where people are listening from. It's insane.
It's crazy.
Guys, we're global, I have to say. Like, where are people listening from, Lauren?
Mexico, Peru, Canada, United States, Sweden. Oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Honestly, let us know on the socials who you are and where you're listening from, because it's beyond what I ever expected. So yeah, thanks for listening and thanks for the lovely feedback and the hilarious stories. The
stories are so funny, so much. In fact, I think we actually are going to have to do a full episode dedicated.
Yeah, I think so. I think we saved them, we banked them all up, and then we'll do a special episode further down the line, which will be truly hilarious. I thought our stories were quite funny, some of them, and embarrassing, but actually we have nothing on some of our viewers' stories. So
some of them are so funny, and some stuff that we've actually were involved in, but we forgot about.
Totally forgot.
So yeah. It's so lovely that people are sharing their experiences, which are also our experiences too, but just reminding us of some really great times.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. It's been fantastic. So.
And also, Timothy, I want to say that you were right.
What was I right? I mean, I'm often right,
well,
Lauren. But
I don't often admit it, sure I don't. Well, you were right. About 70% of our followers do like to put on a pair of chaps.
See, told you. Yee-haw to that.
But I do wonder where people are wearing these chaps, because it's not often you see them walking down the streets. It must be special places.
Let's not go down that route. It is hilarious, the number of messages I've got about, oh, by the way, I was in that night. You know that fateful night that I ripped my trousers on stage? Yeah, it seems to be half of Northern Ireland was in that particular night, which has just filled me with great pride.
I love that. I love that there are people admitting to seeing your lovely white boxers.
I mean, once you've seen it, you can never unsee it, Lauren.
And also, apparently, my soon-to-be brother-in-law told me that I talked about my bum in 2 episodes, so let's try and stay away from that this week.
Maybe we should keep that as a thing. our weekly bum time. Oh my goodness, let's move on. Is that the title of the episode?
Oh,
maybe not.
Gosh.
No, anyway.
Let's
move on quickly, Lauren.
Okay.
This week.
Okay, Timothy, do you want to let us know what this week's musical is?
Yeah, I think I am delighted with this week's musical, especially after the last episode, Oklahoma being one of my favourites. Mm-hmm. I think we have picked, unintentionally I think, but I think we've picked probably my second favourite musical.
Oh yeah.
It is Everything Goes. Oh my goodness.
Do you not know the title?
Anything Goes. Everything goes in this podcast, Lauren.
Yeah, Anything Goes, and not Sailor Ropes. By the way, we are loving these, interesting guesses that people are whenever we put up our sneak peeks. So keep them coming. But no, it's not Sailor Ropes. It is Anything Goes.
Cole Porter's Anything Goes. Would you like a little bit of show information, Lauren?
Yes, I would.
I've been doing my research again. So, 1930s this time, folks. In the 1930s, it was a time of the Great Depression in the US. But for the lucky few, it was also the heyday of glamorous ocean travel.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Anything Goes, for anyone who doesn't know, is set on board a ship. So Cole Porter's Anything Goes action is the unfolding on the decks of the SS American en route from London to New York. Now, fun facts here for you. The original plot was from the book by British humorist P.G. Wodehouse and the British-American musical comedy writer Guy Bolton. And the original storyline involved the sinking of a ship.
That's right.
Yep. However, 2 months before opening of Anything Goes, actual passenger vessel, the SS Morro Castle, sank off New Jersey's coast with heavy loss of life. So they quickly rewrote the script and revised it to keep the SS American safely afloat and also to keep some good taste intact.
Oh, yeah. I think it was right of them to do that.
But I didn't know that until I researched it. The plot revolves around Wall Street stockbroker Billy Crocker and his attempts to win the heart of Hope Harcourt, who is sailing on the SS America with her fiancé, Lord Evelyn Oakley. To win her affections, Crocker boards the SS American, where he is mistaken for the gangster Snake Eyes Johnston. Now, I can't remember, was Snake Eyes Public Enemy number 1 or Public Enemy number 2?
Number 2.
Public Enemy number 2. Crocker also enlists the help of singing evangelist Reno Sweeney.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
That's my phone.
Hilarious.
I'm so sorry, that was my phone. I was leaning on my pocket. He wasn't sure about what I was saying, but I promise you I have researched this. So yes, he gets the help of, this episode's going so well. Everything goes, and Siri not being sure about what we're talking about. Yep, so he gets the help of singing evangelist Reno Sweeney and another gangster on board, Moonface Martin. It was a Cole Porter hit, which lifted audiences out of the Great Depression and also made a big star of Ethel Merman.
I loved this fact.
Yes.
I did not know this.
The musical theatre, tour de force that was Ethel Merman. Yeah. And it was also one of the longest running musicals of the 1930s. So there we go, Siri. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
And also, did you know that it has actually been revived 4 times?
I can understand. No, I didn't know that, but I totally get why. Because it's so fantastic.
And some really big names have played the lead lady, which is fab. But we'll maybe come back to that.
Definitely,
So, this is a really fun musical. Yeah. I love it. I think I adore it. There's more than love there.
It's definitely, I think, in my top 3. You know, it's one of those shows I would forever do or forever want to be involved in. You know, I don't think there's too many times you could do this show, to be honest with you.
I 100% agree with you.
And people say it's a Hoofers show, as in tap dancing.
Yeah.
We were brought up on the whole tap dancing thing, which not many kids do anymore.
No.
It seems to be a dying art, which is really, really sad because I love a good old tap show, but it's not really a tap show because there's only the one number that's real.
Yeah, it's interesting that the tap is something that's really pulled out of it, though, that people remember it for. But I think it's because of, I suppose, the time that it was set. It was the tap is an element of it that brings people together, and it's that feel-good factor. Yeah,
that's very true. And I think for musical theatre songs, Anything Goes, which normally is the tap number in the show, it's such a memorable moment and a memorable song. So I think the power of it makes people think, oh yeah, it's a Hoofer show, but it's only one number. But anyway, so that's our musical this week. Anything Goes. Shall we get started on our musical lyrical lingos for this week then? So remind us, what is a musical lyrical lingo? Now, if you're 3 episodes in and you're still not sure, come on guys. Come on, but remind us one more time just before we get started. So a musical lyrical lingo is either a lyric, a line, or the show itself that has taught us something, something that we have learnt from said musical. Yeah, that's true. And I came to this musical for the first time when I was quite young. We were talking about this earlier. I think 16 or maybe younger. Yeah, maybe 14, 15, around or 15, anyway, yeah. So this will be interesting to see what we learned from it, actually, because we might come across a wee bit daft in this episode, but it's only because we were really young when we first came to the musical. We were. And you know, I think the music in this is really timeless. In a way, you can tell it's from the 1930s and it's Cole Porter-esque, but who was the boss? Cole Porter's music is stunning. But whenever you listen to it now in 2023, you're like, oh, this is so cool. It's a real... Though, in saying that, I have been trying to listen to Anything Goes, and I am convinced my husband has done something to our smart speaker, which I'm not going to say out loud because it might start playing. Anytime I go play Anything Goes,
Guns N' Roses plays.
Oh.
And if anybody knows my husband, knows that Guns N' Roses is one of his favourite bands. So I do think he sabotaged me a little bit.
Maybe you've been listening to Anything Goes too much and he's had enough.
Maybe.
Although he was like whistling it and singing along to it earlier when I came in. Yeah.
He was, yeah.
Have you many musical lyrical lingos this week?
I do.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go first?
Yeah,
Go on.
always. So one of the first ones we'll go with is from actually Anything Goes, and it's whenever she sings about Plymouth Rock.
I have this one too.
Do you? That's
Yes.
so exciting. So I did not know where Plymouth Rock was or what Plymouth Rock was, but it's situated in Massachusetts in America, and it is said to be the spot where pilgrims first set foot, which was about 1620.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hadn't heard of it, so I had to look that up. But do you have?
20,000 emigrated to America from England to gain liberty to worship God as they choose. Yeah. But apparently, now this is where my research might be flawed, apparently they didn't actually land at Plymouth Rock, as the popular myth alleges. Apparently they first anchored in Provincetown Harbour, which is 40 miles southeast of Boston Harbour, apparently.
So it was they just chose Plymouth Rock.
Yeah, it fitted into the lyric, didn't it? Times have changed.
Okay, so that was the first one.
Yep.
Okay, and then my second was from You're the Top.
Me too. I have loads from You're the Top.
Well, I don't have as many, but from You're the Top, where it says you're a Bendel bonnet. Yeah. So this really intrigued me. About Bendel was a department store in New York City, which was then taken over by L Brands, but Bendel was actually the very first visual merchandise.
Oh, okay.
So those window displays that you see all came from there, which I love. You know, I'm a real window shopper.
Yeah.
Love walking past and seeing something. So that was exciting. And that was like the bonnet was the thing to have. But also L Brands is the parent company. So sorry, L Brands took over in 1985 and they are the parent company of like Victoria's Secret and a little shop called Licenza, which I used to manage.
Oh my goodness. That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
Those links are very scary.
I loved it, but sadly there's no more stores. And actually all the websites were closed in 2019. But I loved that was a connection where somewhere I used to work was a parent company of this line from You're the Top.
Yeah, that is, I think it's probably the best song in the whole musical, You're the Top. Yeah. And when I first choreographed, it was one of the first ever shows I choreographed, I think. And I think I was about 16. And I had to like literally sit with Google and go through like almost every line of that number because it's just so cleverly written, like so clever. Yeah. But a lot of the things and the content in it I didn't know about, like Bendel's bonnet. You know, you're the top, you're the Bendel bonnet, Shakespeare sonnet, you're Mickey Mouse. And I like, when I'm choreographing, I like to use the words. Like words drive me quite often. So I had to look it all up. Yeah. So there you go. Fashionable women shopped for hats at Henry Bendel. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love, you know what I'm loving about this is actually whenever you're going back and researching, obviously I learned that at the time, but now going back and researching it with 2023 eyes and just realising that there's even more connections to these musicals.
That's it.
It is. Yeah, it's fun. So that's kind of all I have for my musical lyrical lingo.
Well, I have a few more musical lyrical lingos from You're the Top. So there's another line that goes, you're the National Gallery, your Garbo salary, your cellophane. So I didn't know about Garbo or anything like that. So for anyone that doesn't know, in the late 1920s, early 1930s, Greta Garbo was one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood. Ooh. And I didn't know who she was until I was introduced to this musical. Cellophane as well was invented in 1908 by Jacques E. Brandenburg. And do you know why he invented cellophane? Do you know what his inspiration was? Well, he was inspired by seeing wine spill on restaurant tablecloths. And he decided to create a cloth that could repel liquids rather than absorb them.
Oh.
So there you go. That's kind of the origin of cellophane and what that was all about. Yeah. I also was confused about the line, "You're the top, you're an arrow color." I didn't know what that was about. So Arrow was, for generations, the nation's best-selling brand of men's shirts. So Arrow Collar. So the company gained dominance in the 19th century with what was regarded as the ultimate in male sex appeal, the detachable Arrow Collar.
That's so interesting. There's been a couple of mentions about fashion because costume-wise and anything goes.
Yeah.
It's fab.
Sublime.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's delightful. It's lovely. It's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I suppose the premise of that song, "You're the Top," is it's sung by Billy Crocker and Reno Sweeney, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're kind of trying to say how fantastic each of them are, and they're trying to outdo each other with their compliments, I suppose. So all things fabulous are in that song, you know, these idea of beautiful hats and fashion designers, or, you know, Greta Garbo, who was at her prime, you know. Yeah, so there we go. I'm just flicking over the page, Lauren. Another one I didn't understand was about "You're the nose of the great Durante." Do you know who Durante was?
Haven't a clue.
I didn't know either. So he was, again, very successful at the time, American comedian, stroke actor, stroke singer, stroke pianist, one of these guys that could do it all. But he had a huge nose. And go on Google, please, everybody, go on Google and type in "the nose of the great Durante, and you will see he had a huge hooker, like huge.
I've got an obsession with people who have big noses, so I must check this out.
Really?
Yeah, I always notice people's noses.
I mean, we've talked about your bum and your fetish for noses. We're going no further, Lauren. Like, seriously. Siri will have something to say about this. Here. Because there's so much in this. Yeah. Do you want a few quiz questions?
Oh, yes, please.
So I've got a few more lines or a few more lyrics from "You're the Top." Okay? You're going to have to go and listen to that song, folks. Yeah. So let's see if you know
oh my goodness, pressure.
Any of these. So there's a line that goes, "You're a boon, B-O-O-N." Do you know what a boon is?
Is it short for baboon?
No.
Okay.
Remember, this song is about complimenting each other. Yes. I think if they called each other a baboon, not quite in taking with the song. A boon is a thing that is helpful or beneficial.
Oh.
So you're a boon, you're a really helpful person.
It doesn't sound like a compliment.
You are a bit of a boon.
Thanks.
To me, you are helpful and beneficial.
I loved how you could almost say that without laughing.
I think you'll know this one, but I didn't. Ovaltine.
Oh, yeah, the hot drink.
Yeah, see, I never knew about Ovaltine.
What?
So, well, listen, you say what, but there will be people out there like me that don't. So Ovaltine is a brand of milk flavoured with malt extract, sugar and rye. It's
like Horlicks. Yeah. Other brands may be available.
We're not going to get taken off the air. What's the laws for we're so amateur about with all this. I'm like, what can we say and what can't we say?
All right.
We'll be okay, will we?
Are available.
Another line. "I'm just in the way," as the French would say, "de trop." French, back to French in school. What does de trop mean? D-E and then T-R-O-P.
I have no idea.
Too much. De trop. Oh. Too much. You're too much.
Yeah, I never passed GCSE French.
Okay. Hot tamales.
Oh, yes. They're a Mexican food.
Yeah.
See anything to do with food or drink, I will know.
But in the premise of the song, a hot tamale was actually a physically attractive person. Oh. So not your Mexican food. Also,
but that must be from that. It must be like, maybe, you know, they enjoyed that so much that they were then referencing.
Or I think you can also now get, like, in America, like cinnamon, like hot cinnamon sweets, hard sweets, and they're called hot tamales as well. Yeah. So there you go. That
was a good wee quiz.
Yeah. All from one song.
I know.
I seem to keep doing this.
I know you find a song, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
It just shows how clever the song is, that there was so much content in it, so lyrically massive, that I didn't know half of the song. I had to do a lot of work on that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned just as you were talking about that, about choreographing this show. So what other links do you have to Anything Goes?
So I have done the show twice, and I've choreographed it once. So, and I played the role of Lord Evelyn Oakley.
Oh, so funny.
Hope Harcourt's fiance, a very well-to-do English aristocratic kind of guy, but just a bit weird. But he had a secret side to him as well.
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite funny in the show. You know, we're talking about what we learnt and, you know, lines that we learnt. In the show, Lord Evelyn Oakley is obsessed with American sayings and the meaning of words. And he has this, like, wee notebook. So anytime, you know, one of the American characters says something, it's like, oh, what does that mean? And he would write it in his book. So things like hot pants, he's like, oh, what does what does that mean? And in the premise of the show, I think Reno Sweeney says, I have hot pants for you or something. Right. And it actually means I'm crazy for you. Yeah. So, and also Gaga, you drive me Gaga. And this was long before Lady Gaga even appeared. And that was also to drive someone Gaga is to drive them wild with, lust and yeah.
But that's funny because if I think of the show Anything Goes, because I was in it the 2 times with you, I think of you in a pair of pants.
Here we go again. I know. What is it? Like, people are going to think we are choosing these episodes for this reason, but I promise you it's not. We just made a list of the musicals we want to talk about and we're just going in order. Yeah, so I mean, don't ask me why. Maybe because he was a British character in a show that is surrounded with American characters. There's a scene where Lord Evelyn Oakley is in his stateroom, and he gets a visit from Reno Sweeney. And anyone who doesn't know the show, Lord and Evelyn and Reno end up together by the end. It's not the most conventional of pairings, but it works.
It does.
And he's in his stateroom, and the director decided that I would be wearing like a vest.
I love how you say the director.
Yeah, well, listen, I didn't choose. Do you honestly think I would choose what's coming here? So anyway, he's in his stateroom with, his silk gown on, a vest, his socks pulled up, and like those sock braces or whatever they're called, and a pair of Union Jack boxers. And I spent many a night
wearing your Union Jack
on stage, like, and I wouldn't be the most body confident person. Like, Lauren, I actually think this is part of my trauma because earlier in life I was put in these situations which involved being on stage in my pants. But yeah, the one thing I remember about that is when we were doing it in a tech once. We used a tech premises for the show. For some reason, the fire alarm, like during the get-in and the tech rehearsals, the fire alarm kept going off. I think it had something to do with the smoke that was in the show.
Okay.
And I just kept, every time it went off. Now, we never had to evacuate. They always turned it off or went, oh, it's the smoke, don't worry about it. But I just had a great fear that it would go off at some point when I was on stage in my Union Jack boxers, and we would have to evacuate the building, and I'd be standing outside in my Union Jack boxers.
That would have been hilarious.
No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been hilarious for everybody but me.
Yeah, it would have been funny. And also, you had to get a spray tan for that, didn't you?
Oh, don't even start me. The things I've done for stage, I've dyed my hair. I've dyed my hair.
All
had
for
to
the
lose weight, spray tan. I just would refuse now, I think, to do all
You're really older and have more.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
guys.
I'm okay. I can, the audience will be able to believe.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not that the spray tan made me look any.
No, I was going to say, it didn't really.
It didn't really change. No, it didn't. Do you have any memories of your involvement in Anything Goes?
Yeah, I love this show and loved my time doing it. both times with yourself. But a connection I do have before I was even in it is from the song Friendship.
Friendship.
So that song was in my P7 production.
Oh, wow.
Where I played the lead of Little Red Riding Hood. And with that, I had a sidekick who was a squirrel. I'm pretty sure it was a squirrel. But the girl who...
Some artistic license going on here, isn't there? A squirrel with Little Red Riding Hood and an Anything Goes song.
So the squirrel could only do like one of the performances and was on holiday for two of the other performances. So at this stage, whenever I was in P7, my little sister was in P2.
Okay.
And she had to fill in.
Oh.
And she was the squirrel.
Oh, that's cute.
So I do love it, and I have very fond memories. And she was so good. She was P2 and she remembered all of these lines and that song we got to sing together.
That's really lovely. Because you are really close.
Yeah, and I love that song, and every time I hear it, it just brings me right back to being P7 with my little sister. Now, I'm probably honest, she did get an awful lot of attention. She was good, so I probably didn't like that at the time. But whenever I reflect back and see that she was so good as a P2 performing in a P7 production. Yeah. And it was so much fun.
And you don't get that very often, like getting to share the stage in that you're involved in a number where it's just you and your sibling. Do you know what I mean? So that's a really special memory to always have. That's lovely. I don't think my brother and I ever did a double act, to be honest.
Not on purpose.
No, not on purpose, I don't think he would want to be in a double act with me somehow. Yeah. Funny. Yeah. I also remember one of the times I was playing Lord Evelyn Oakley. He has the a lot of people probably cut this number from the show. I don't know. It's only in to enhance his character, I suppose, and to show him being a wee bit bonkers. But he has a song in Act 2 called The Gypsy in Me, where he kind of goes into like the deep suited, like, you know, everything's not as it seems. I'm a wee bit naughty deep down, and he talks about family, you know, family gypsies and all the rest of it. And it's such a fun number to do. However, to muster up the courage before he cracks into this song with Reno Sweeney, he in the production I was in, he downed or took a big swig from a gin bottle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, to give him a bit of Dutch courage. Isn't that what they call it? Dutch courage?
Yep.
However, one night, now I don't know, and I knew this episode was coming up, I forgot to ask. I don't know if it was the Reno Sweeney or the stage hands.
Okay.
But somebody decided to be a little bit naughty.
Oh, my goodness.
And they decided, normally there would have been there would have been water in the gin bottle. However, this night they decided to swap that out and they put actual gin into the gin bottle.
This is hilarious because you were definitely not 18.
No, I wasn't. I think I was 16 when I did this. And I took the biggest swig because it was water, and it's also quite healthy. I always like to have a wee drink before a number. Water. Do you know what I mean? Just loosen the vocal cords, all that. I took a big swig. And you know that feeling you get when it just burns you the whole way down your esophagus? It was like...
Because you weren't expecting it?
No, of course not. And I took a big, massive... I basically took a shot of gin.
Oh, my gosh.
And I had never tried gin at that point. Now, maybe that's why I love gin now. Maybe that's to blame for my love of gin. My tipple of choice sometimes. Yeah, but so I did that and I was left and then had to go into the song, and honestly, I actually think it was a Reno.
Oh, really?
I'm almost sure it was.
Will you say who that was? That is? No. Second Reno or first Reno?
I can't remember what order they came in. Sharon.
Oh, good second.
Second, yeah. I'm almost sure it was her. I'll have to check with her this week and and give you a follow-up. But yeah, that's not nice. That's not good. It was hilarious after, But at the time I was like,
do you know what? But they gave a really good performance because you were like,
listen,
like
the gypsy in me was totally unleashed that night, let me tell you. Yeah. And we got through it and it was fun, but like naughty. Playing about, that's not very professional conductor behaviour, is it, in the theatre?
Well, do you have any other funny stories?
I don't know, not really, no. Just
or memories?
Not really. No, I just loved, like, both times I adored the show and I adored being in it, and it definitely has taken its place as one of my favourites. Like, the music is just so memorable, you know, like...
And the storyline is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, it's really catchy. It's really makes you sort of want to root for different people at different times. The characters are all really well developed. That's
it. There isn't one or two characters that kind of would take on the role of the main characters, and everything else is lessened. Do you know what I mean? Every single character has their own story, and it's given equal billing throughout. Do you know what I mean? And which means you're invested in every single character in equal... Yeah. And they are all looking for something different out of the story. Yeah.
And I do think it's really funny.
It's brilliant.
I do think it's really funny. And also...
The characters are hilariously written.
I also think it's a great show for boys.
Yeah.
Because it's always really hard to get boys into Amdram as well, or any sort of production.
Even in school, like just getting boys in, although it is getting better. As a primary school teacher, it's definitely that stigma I haven't seen as big of a thing. They are, it's becoming a bit cooler, but for a while it was hard to get them involved. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but this one's good because they're sailors.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got like that number with the pretty girl as well. And I just love it. It's so good. But we have a few stories around that, and some of the sailors, and you know, the tasks that they maybe had to do in some of the dancing. Do you remember?
No.
So do you remember that maybe somebody would have dropped the character at some point whenever they were lifting them in the air?
Did you get dropped?
No, I didn't get dropped. I wasn't a main character. But one of our friends who was playing... I've forgotten her name now.
Bonnie?
Yes, playing Bonnie.
Bonnie, or is it Irma? It's weird because is there like two different versions of Anything Goes? I think there's I think they differ slightly, but that character name, so Bonnie stroke Irma, they use a different name depending on what production it is, I've noticed. But she would have been like the silly girl sidekick to Moonface Martin, the gangster who was on board the ship.
And she has a really fun number too.
Oh, she's a wee flirt. She just loves the sailors.
With some sailors. And we were in our first production that we were in. And somebody that we had done a few shows with through Stage School just kept dropping our Bonnie.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, so I always remember that, and I do remember that she was not dreading that part, but it was always, please don't drop me.
And was this in rehearsals, or was this in the real thing? Okay,
no, I think
they
it was
sorted it out by the time.
They probably will correct me, but no, it definitely was just in rehearsals.
Yeah, but, it's funny, seeing people's reactions when you go to them and go, okay, we'd like you to do this lift, you know. When I've choreographed a few shows, you just see certain dread appearing in eyes, and it's it will be fine. I promise you. I'm going to match you with someone who will be able to do it. Don't worry. But everybody immediately hits that panic button, don't they? When they're told, "Okay, I want you to do a lift." What? No, me.
But I also love this show for the chorus. You know, often whenever you're involved in part of a show and you don't have a lead, it could be boring. Whenever you're just 100%. sitting around and waiting for those big dance numbers. But actually, because the ship and the way that the story and the book is sort of written is that there's always a buzz going on. So
100%.
There's always little scenes for you to be involved in the background. So I love that. I loved exploring my acting side and being oh, look over there, there may be a dolphin or whatever.
It speaks volumes as well for the show. You know, a show that's set in the one setting on board a ship. So it's not as if you can go to different places or different, sets. It's the same set from start to finish.
Yeah.
And the fact that it keeps the audience's attention and they're engaged throughout just also is another real plus for the show and how good it is. Do you know, it's probably the one show that I'm most disappointed that I didn't see a recent revival on stage. So there was a recent revival. It came just after COVID.
Oh yes,
it was the Broadway production that then came over to London in 2021, and just for out of circumstance, I just wasn't going to get over to see it. And those shows that are on in the West End or somewhere, and you just can't get to see it, and you're kicking yourself because you just would have loved it. I still am devastated that I didn't get to see it. Now they did televise it. Actually, they recorded it and they put it on. One Christmas, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
But just not the same. You see,
oh really? Do you not
musicals,
like pro shots?
Yeah, musicals that have a pro shot done, it's just not the same. It's like,
see, I disagree with you.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but
yeah, it's not the same as live theatre. Live theatre is completely different, and it is, an experience, and it certainly doesn't. It's not the same. You can't say by watching a pro shot that you've definitely 100% seen it.
Yeah,
because that's not in its natural form.
Yeah.
But I do love pro shots because for many people getting to go
don't get to see it,
getting to even just their local theatre, like the Opera House for us, is just out of their means. They just either can't afford it or can't get to it, or it's just one of those. So pro shots are a great way to introduce musicals to new audiences.
Of course, no, 100%. But I watched it that Christmas on TV, and I was like, it just made me wish I had seen it live even more. It was the same for one of my favourite musicals that I've ever seen is Half a Sixpence. And I think I saw it in the theatre like 5 or 6 times, and then Cameron McIntosh did a pro shot of it and put it on Sky Arts or something, and having seen it live and then seeing it on TV, it didn't capture it anywhere near as amazingly as I remember it.
But I think it's because of that experience of being in a theatre. It
speaks volumes, doesn't it? The best place in the world being in the theatre.
Oh, it definitely is. But we did get to see somebody in Anything Goes, did you?
Yeah. A good alumni of Stage School was in the UK tour of it, wasn't she? Yeah, Zoe.
And that was really fun for us, getting to see a musical that we loved, we had been in as part of Amdram, and then getting to see professionals doing it.
And seeing someone who was a couple of years older than us, and I always looked up to Zoe, lovely girl and amazing at what she does, and to see her actually doing it, it was like, it actually can happen. That's amazing. We've been quite lucky with a few folk who have been older and younger than us that have gone away and are doing it as a job and are doing really well. It's just, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to see. She was brilliant. And it was a brilliant version too, because they shook it up a wee bit, didn't they? It wasn't like Anything Goes that you'd seen before. It was really, the set was really clever, I think I can remember.
I just love the musical. I think that's it. It can be very adaptable to change it slightly or, maybe put a bit of extra tap into it or extend a number or whatever.
I think that revival recently didn't they? They put in a few wee extra bits and bobs in. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it.
It's so good.
You said how much we love it.
Yeah, I know. Good choice for this week, I think. Definitely. Do you have any standing ovations then? So when we every week we talk about our standing ovations, which might be a character or a song or a part of the show that we feel deserves just a little bit of extra recognition, maybe something or someone that goes underappreciated sometimes or isn't highlighted as much as we think they should be. So do you have any standing ovations for this week, Lauren?
I just have to celebrate Reno Sweeney. Or I can't even say, what is wrong with us today?
Reno Sweeney. It's been a long week.
Oh my goodness! Because for me, watching it and being involved in it, it's the confidence and see that confident woman from a lead woman in a musical theatre, and whether it has just been the two Reno's that I was part of. They were just awesome, and I looked up to them anyway. But I just love that character. So I know that she does get a lot of recognition, and everybody wants to play that role. But I just think that confidence and that non-forgivingness that she sort of gives out is like, well, this is who I am, and I am not going to change. Yeah. I love that. I love that for women.
It's a strong female character, isn't it? But also hard. Like, it's not an easy character. It's unforgiving from start to finish. Like, the energy and the vocals and the acting that you have to give to that role is like, it's a hard job. Like, funny, that was one of my stand ovations, just, for the role in general and the women who have played that role. When you look at the number of actresses who have taken it on, every single one of them is like a powerhouse. 100%. Start with Ethel Merman, the original, like, what perfect casting, like, big voice, strong woman, then you've got that recent revival, Sutton Foster, like, she is the actress that I would love to see live. Yeah. Because I would just love to experience what she does in a theatre, because you listen to her and I think she's brilliant. Patti LuPone, who is like, royalty, like musical royalty, I think probably needs an episode of her own, to be quite honest, looking at the ins and outs of her and what she's done in her career. But she's stunning and such a strong woman. Elaine Page, Kerry Ellis, Stephanie J. Block, who is massive in America. Like, she did Cher in the Cher musical, and and I remember seeing a production of it in Royal Theatre Drury Lane, and it was Sally Ann Triplett. Oh yeah, and she was amazing too. Like, and she's done loads in her career. Yeah, so I think that role gets a standing ovation from me.
Has to.
As does, and we've already spoken about it, the Bonnie number, Buddy Beware. Yeah. It is so fantastic, and it's one of those roles that maybe in a show that has so many brilliant characters maybe isn't spoken about or could get lost. But the Bonnie who was in that revival, she won, I think, an Olivier for her role. I might be wrong. I should maybe have fact-checked that before I said it. But she was definitely nominated, and to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress in that role, do you know what I mean? Just speaks volumes as to what can be done with it. Yeah. No. So there we go.
I know. Oh,
Episode 3, anything goes.
Oh, and if anybody has any stories, or if we have maybe not remembered any, please let us know. And like we said, we'll be having that future episode and we can discuss them. But yeah, Anything Goes is such a special musical. Yeah. I loved the times that we got to do it together. And it has really, I think it shaped part of like my teenage years, doing that, and really sort of cemented how much I loved musical theatre, because you were a bit older and you were able to make those choices. But yeah, that was really fun.
That was fun. Hopefully you find this episode delightful, delicious, lovely, as they say in the show. And do, as Lauren says, get in contact with us. You can drop a wee message in our Instagram, Musical Lyrical Lingo, or what's our email, Lauren?
You can email us at musicallyricallingo@gmail.com. So there's loads of ways.
Yeah, and next week's episode is a special one for us too, actually.
Yeah, very special.
Yeah, very, very special.
And around the same time.
Yeah, but in a very different way, I think, and we'll talk about that next week. Do you want to give the listeners a little
Here is
hint?
a little sneak peek that our shoes may be upon the table. And there may be some superstitions.
Yeah, we're a bit superstitious next week, so keep those shoes off the table.
Yeah.
Well, until then, thanks for listening.
Indeed. And just before we go, I would just love to dedicate this week's podcast to my dear Grumps, who passed away a couple of weeks ago now. And he was one of the ones who really introduced me to musicals. We was always a musical on in the house. And we just want to say cheerio, Grumps, and we love you lots.
For Gramps. What a man.
Gramps.
Till next week.
Bye.
Bye.